They called him father, they called him Baap. Larger than life, he was described as na jhukne wala, na bikne wala Gilani, one who didn't bend and could not be bought. In the circumstances in which many Kashmiri leaders compromised even on the autonomy of Kashmir, he stood tall, never changing his demand for self-determination for his people, for a plebiscite in Kashmir, as promised by the United Nations and by India itself. He was the icon of their struggle. Elected many times to the Legislative Assembly from Sopore, he resigned his seat in 1989, believing that the Indian democracy was a sham. Since 1920, he was kept under strict house arrest, reaching out to the people only through videos and statements. His house was surrounded by security personnel. The clandestine fashion in which he was buried in the middle of the night by the Indian establishment is a testament to his great stature. Surrounded by security forces, shutting down all communication, even the internet, denying his family participation in his funeral. Conscious that if an open funeral was allowed, they would never have been able to control the crowds. Syed Ali Shah Geelani wanted Kashmir to accede or become part of Pakistan, but he did not deny other people their right to hold a different opinion. On the 2nd of September, the Jammu and Kashmir police registered a first information report against his family members for draping his body in a Pakistani flag. In the year 2020, Pakistan had bestowed upon him its highest civil award, Nishan-e-Pakistan. There are three speakers in this webinar, Sardar Masood Khan, Mr. Abzal Khan, and Ms. Nassema Vani. Each speaker will have 20 minutes, and there will be a question and answer session later. It is my very great pleasure to introduce the first speaker, Sardar Masood Khan, who was the president of Azad Jammu and Kashmir for 5 years until August this year, during which time he very eloquently and very forcefully carried the message of self-determination for the people of Kashmir to countries across the world. With a distinguished diplomatic career behind him, multilaterally as Pakistan's permanent representative to the United Nations, both in Geneva and New York, and bilaterally, where his last appointment was as Pakistan's ambassador to China. He combines in his person not only excellent diplomatic skills, but also great statesmanship. Sardar Masood Khan will speak on the legacy of Syed Ali Shah Geelani and the struggle in Kashmir. This session is being live streamed and is also being followed on Facebook. Sardar Sahab, the floor is yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most beneficent. I start this conversation by thanking you, Dr. Masooma Hassan, for hosting this event. It's a very timely initiative that you have taken shortly after the demise of Syed Ali Geelani, the most popular leader of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and I would say of Pakistan. I also want to pay a tribute to PIIA, this institute which has been doing a seminal work in promoting the ideology of Pakistan since 1947. So you've done the service to the nation, and I think that Syed Ali Geelani's persona fits into the work that you've been doing and the general thrust of the mission and vision of PIIA. So I'm personally grateful to you. We are familiar with you. You are a person of great stature. You've been working for Pakistan in different capacities. And this torch that you have been holding at PIIA, it has also enlightened many generations of Pakistanis. Talking about Syed Ali Gilani, I would start from where you, in fact, began. It is the funeral of Syed Ali Gilani. It was very symbolic because it says it all about the Kashmir movement, Kashmir freedom movement, about the challenges that the people of Jammu and Kashmir are facing, the frustrations of the leadership, the fear that permeates the Indian administration and its leaders, despite their bravado and despite their tall claims. Now, he is a 92-year-old leader, very popular with the Kashmiris, and they're so afraid of him that they try to, in fact, they do snatch his body, bury him covertly and clandestinely, and then they discourage people. In fact, they took draconian measures to discourage people to come to his mausoleum. In fact, I mean, the people of Jammu and Kashmir very much wanted that Syed Ali Gilani should be buried in the martyr's graveyard, but this was denied to him. And as you rightly pointed out, when his dead body was being prepared, his coffin was wrapped in Pakistani flag, and this was done in accordance with his own will, because he fought for Kashmir's accession to Pakistan all his life. Now, here are 2 or 3 things I think that I'd refer to an article which was written by Mirza Wahid, who is a prominent Kashmiri. He writes for The Guardian. And, he gives this sharp contrast between Sheikh Abdullah and Syed Ali Gilani. He says Sheikh Abdullah was also a popular leader back in the 1940s and up to probably 1970s. But he entered into this Faustian agreement with the Indian administration headed by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And then he made 2 compromises, one with Sheikh Abdullah and back in the 1940s, and then with Indira Gandhi in the mid-70s. And his grave is guarded because the family of Sheikh Abdullah and the administration, the puppet regimes, they can't take the risk of leaving that grave unguarded because people would attack. They think that Sheikh Abdullah was a traitor who betrayed them, and in fact paved the way for the enslavement of the Kashmiris and their brutalization over the decades. The second grave that is being guarded, as a matter of fact, is of Syed Ali Gilani. And it is being guarded because they do not want people to come there to pay their homage, because his grave has already become a shrine. And here is a popular leader who has won the hearts and minds of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, you also talked about his stature. Let me go back a little bit and let me talk about the dynamics of the liberation movement and the stark choices that are there for the Kashmiris and for the Bharatiya Janata Party or Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. This duo, this combined that is conducting this colonial rule in the Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Now, here what we have to understand that Syed Ali Gilani's death itself is a manifestation, a writing on the wall that the people of Jammu and Kashmir do not want to be part of India. Had that been the case, this would have been a minor event. A very, very old leader had died. He would have been buried. Probably there would have been some ceremonies or rituals as they go along with funerals. And that would have been the end of the story. No. In fact, the Indian administration is afraid of the people, afraid of the voice of the people, the rule they are. is a brutal rule. They are aliens trying to integrate that territory and those people to the Indian Union. And this is not going to happen. Let me tell you that by now, majority of the Kashmiris hate India, and India has learned this lesson the hard way. And that's why what they're doing is that they are planting or transplanting these Hindus, 4 million of them or 40 lakh of them in Jammu and Kashmir, to change the demography so that the reality on the ground is changed. This is what they have done. They've given these domicile certificates to the Hindus so that they have come to this conclusion that the state as it is, majority of the people of Jammu and Kashmir do not want to be part of India. In fact, they want to be part of Pakistan. So there's a sharp contrast between, this is another contrast between the failure of Indians, despite the deployment of 900,000 troops, despite all the draconian measures, despite the land grab that is going on there, despite genocide, crimes against humanity that are being committed there. Now, and the aspiration of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, even under these circumstances, cannot be crushed. Let me come back to Syed Ali Geelani. All his life, he believed in the right to self-determination of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and he's devoted his life to the attainment of this goal. And he never budged an inch. I mean, there were, of course, enemies and adversaries. I mean, the Indian government, who tried to coax him into abandoning his stand, and he said no. And then there were his own peers within the Kashmiri leadership who were skeptical of his approach. They advocated some sort of compromise, some sort of formula that would persuade him to relinquish his stand, his principled stand on the right to self-determination and the implementation of the United Nations Security Council. He would not. And all his life, he devoted, especially the later part of his life, to this cause. He did become a member of the AJK or Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Assembly. He was a lawmaker, but he saw things as they were, and he thought that Muslims with India had absolutely no future. Now, let me also tell you that he was a consensus builder. I mean, of course, there are three main streams, political streams in Kashmir, and this dates back to 1940s. As a matter of fact, there was the Maharaja and Sheikh Abdullah wanted Kashmir to be independent. This did not happen. India hoodwinked these two leaders and made them compromise. Then there was this Indian stance and pro-India Kashmiri leaders who advocated accession to India, and there was the strong current, a historical current of the people of Jammu and Kashmir who said that they would become part of Pakistan because of geographical contiguity, because of ethnic ties, because of kinship, because of commerce, because of so many other factors. Syed Ali Geelani was the custodian of this ideology, and he propagated this all his life. And I would tell you that when during the drafting of the Musharraf formula, he was shunned, he was excluded, but he did not alienate himself. He did not become bitter. I think back in 2004, I met him in New Delhi, and deliberations are going on about the drafting of this formula as a modus vivendi, and he would stick to his principled stand, and he would say that this was a trap, because that the Indians wanted to dilute Pakistan's stance, and they would never ever accomplish this formula. So coming back to the point of he being a consensus builder, I can tell you that what he did was that he first supported the All Parties Hurriyat Conference, which was a conglomeration of many Kashmiri political groups. And later on, he had his own Hurriyat Conference when he had differences with the APHC. But he, at the same time, you know, Indians want to taunt Kashmiris that you're not united yourself. So I think that Syed Ali Geelani was instrumental in steering Kashmiri leadership towards a united stand. And this is what he did 6 or 7 years ago. He was instrumental in constituting a group which was called Joint Resistance Leadership. And it comprised himself, Mr. Ali Geelani. Also, it included Yasin Malik, who's a pro-independence leader, and it included Mirwais Umar Farooq, who's somewhere in the middle. So by establishing this group, they gave a definite and convincing reply to the Indians that Kashmiris are divided. They said that we have different points of view, but we agree that the United Nations Security Council resolutions should be implemented, and that there should be a democratic solution of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute, and that India should openly recognize Kashmir as a disputed territory, and that the people of Jammu and Kashmir have yet to exercise their right to self-determination. It has been mentioned that he was a pro-Pakistan leader. Now here I want to highlight something. I mean, Pakistan was created because of the ideology of Pakistan, because of the two-nation theory, which was given by Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. But today there's a bit of confusion. I mean, when you talk to people about the ideology of Pakistan, they get swayed by liberalism, or they get swayed by many other ideas which are Indophilic, or which are generated from New Delhi. So people get confused. Not Syed Ali Geelani. He was a staunch Pakistan ideologue, and he safeguarded it. I would say that I consider Jammu and Kashmir to be part of Pakistan under the occupation of India. And outside of the present boundaries of Pakistan, or border of Pakistan, there was one person, one statesman, who strongly believed in the ideology of Pakistan or the two-nation theory, and that was Syed Ali Geelani. He was a statesman of such stature that you would not find a person like him, even in Pakistan. I would like to say that with full authority, as a matter of fact. That kind of conviction is missing here. And he did this under very difficult circumstances. I mean, it is always easy to theorize about Pakistan ideology, about the rights of Muslims, speak against anti-Islamism, which has, I mean, Kashmir is the hotspot of Islamophobia. And so I salute him, because he was the one who gave this slogan to the Kashmiri youth, which were also bewildered and confused. He gave this slogan, a clarion call. He said, "Hum Pakistani hain, Pakistan hamara hai." Clear, categorical, and said with conviction. And that's why the slogan reverberated in the mountains and valleys and in the townships and villages of Kashmir. He was called, I mean, I read all the reviews which were, or the obituaries which were written by Indians, and they used to call him, of course, the father of the Kashmiri nation, but at the same time, also a Hartal man. And they call him a demonstration man, because when Syed Ali Geelani, despite his incarceration, would give a call for demonstration, entire Kashmir was shut down. That was his convening power. So he leaves two things behind. One is his legacy, as you mentioned, Dr. Naseema Hassan, and the second is a vacuum. Legacy because his legacy has been inherited by Mr. Masrat Alam Bhat, and he's a good leader and he's a good successor. And I think that he would follow the footsteps of Syed Ali Geelani. But at the same time, I'll candidly admit that we do not have a leader like Syed Ali Geelani in the Kashmir movement today. That kind of clarity, that kind of conviction, that kind of sense of direction. So once again, as I conclude my remarks, I thank you for organizing this seminar, and I think that I look forward to listening to Mr. Abzal Khan, who's a great champion of Kashmir in the United Kingdom, and Nassema Vani, who has been very active. She was an MLA, member of Legislative Assembly until recently, and she comes from Kashmir, and she knows the tale of Kashmir like nobody else would, because she has suffered, her family has suffered. But it's such a good panel, and particularly I'm pleased to be in your midst. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sardar Sahab. We are also so very pleased that you have joined us and that you have spoken so clearly, especially about Syed Ali Shah Geelani. The next speaker is Mr. Afzal Khan. He is a member of the Kashmir diaspora. He is a Labour Party member of the House of Commons in the United Kingdom from Manchester, Gordon, since 2017. Currently, he is the shadow deputy leader of the House of Commons, and he was the first Pakistani and the first Muslim, first Pakistani origin and first Muslim to become Lord Mayor of Manchester. He has been in the diaspora in favor of the Kashmir cause. He will speak on the Kashmir diaspora and the struggle for the nation. Partly because Prime Minister called him. He will probably not stay for the question and answer session. Mr. Abzal Khan.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you to distinguished guests, and special thanks to PIIA for inviting me today and organizing this timely seminar to commemorate the Syed Ali Shah Geelani's legacy. It's always difficult to follow Sardar Masood Khan Saab, who is an authority on this subject, who I've known for many, many years, and for his excellent service. Perhaps I'll take this opportunity to thank him when he was the president for the excellent work that he did. In particularly, I would say, which concerned me, was the European Parliament and the British Parliament, both these areas where he was a frequent visitor and a very strong advocate for the Kashmiri people. There can be no doubt that over the serious nature of the conflict in Kashmir, or the devastating number of deaths, at 73 years, the conflict in Kashmir is the longest unresolved conflict on the agenda of the UN. On 5th of August 2019, the Indian government Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Bill unilaterally revoked Article 370 and replaced the autonomous state of Jammu and Kashmir with the two new union territories governed directly by Delhi, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Further to this intervention, Jammu and Kashmir has been in an Indian Army imposed lockdown, with the Indian government citing security risks and the need to prevent violence. The lockdown, along with the communication blackout, which has had a profound and far-reaching impact on every aspect of life in Kashmir, including the economy, health services, school closures, and press freedom. Even more concerningly, Amnesty International India was forced to close in September 2020 after the Indian government froze its bank accounts in an act of reprisal for the organization's human rights work. The forced closure of a reputable human rights organization indicates the lack of accountability and the deterioration of human rights in India. Sardar Sahib has eloquently talked about the great leader Syed Shah Geelani Sahib, who died recently. When I reflect on his life, one thing that stands out to me is his consistency on the message and the steadfastness against the brutality of the Indian government. And there is a consistency also of his struggle in life and, of course, at his death. Both that you see the oppression aspect of the Indian government, which was muted out towards Syed Ali Jalani Sahib, and also his love and his commitment to Pakistan, that even at the last moment of his body, the flag was wrapped around Syed Ali Jalani Sahib. Of course, the death of Syed Jalani, who had led the separatist movement in Kashmir and been a lifelong activist of the Kashmir cause, prompted a lockdown to be imposed on the Indian region as authorities removed and secretively buried his body under the cover of darkness. Hours after his death, police and paramilitary forces flooded the roads of Kashmir's main city, Srinagar, as checkpoints were set up, while entry points into the city were also sealed off. By midnight, all internet services were shut down, and an hour later, all phone services were also suspended across the region. Mr. Geelani had previously wished to be buried at Srinagar's martyrs' graveyard, where the bodies of many insurgent militants had been laid to rest. However, the family said he was denied his dying wish, and instead, security forces had removed him from the home at about 3 a.m. and buried him away from his relatives. Footage from the scene shows relatives screaming and confronting soldiers who barged into the family home and confiscated his body. This reaction by the Indian government reveals a lot about the current humanitarian state in Kashmir. Burial rights are sacred and must be respected. The Indian authorities have denied Geelani and his family of their basic rights. The administration in Kashmir region has since last year prevented the handover of bodies of militants to their families on the pretext that it led to a large-scale funerals that can aggravate the risk of COVID-19 infections. Bodies of militants have instead been buried under strict police surveillance at remote mountainous locations with a limited presence of family members. Syed Jalani's death comes at a time when many Kashmiris say that the region has become even more volatile since federal government revoked its autonomous status. We must redouble our efforts and continue highlighting the Kashmiri conflict and the mistreatment of Kashmiri brothers and sisters. I have a huge respect for the British Kashmiri community and those who are allies of the Kashmiri cause in the UK. No doubt, the UK has always been at the forefront of solidarity. I am also chair of the Labour Muslim Network, and a recent report showed just how high Kashmir is on the priority list of the British Muslims. Despite the efforts of successive UK governments have adopted the position that it is for the Indian and Pakistani governments to resolve the future of Kashmir in a peaceful and a democratic manner, in line with the wishes of the Kashmiri people, and that it is not for the UK to interfere or mediate in that process. Now, we must go beyond this and recognize the role Britain has played in the Kashmir conflict. The roots of this conflict lie in the country's shared colonial past, from the 17th to the 20th century, Britain ruled most of the Indian subcontinent. The UK is now home to the largest Kashmiri diaspora community outside of the region. The UK should help facilitate and broker peace in the region by encouraging meaningful dialogue between India and Pakistan and ensuring UN resolutions are upheld. Concern for the human rights of the Kashmiri people is at the heart of Labour's approach to this issue. The reports coming out of the region are deeply troubling, and Labour should call on the UK government to urge the Indian authorities to cooperate with the UN to allow them to investigate reports of human rights abuses. And let's not forget that Pakistan and India have gone to war 3 times, and the real danger of a war between 3 nuclear armed states, which of course includes China in relation to Ladakh, cannot be ruled out until the issue of Kashmir is resolved. Groups such as the APPG on Kashmir and the Labour Kashmiri Liaison Committee will be instrumental in keeping the issue of Kashmir alive in UK politics. As an office bearer of both groups, I can reaffirm my commitment to the cause and ensure that I will continuously raise the plight of Kashmiris. And in conclusion, we must now take steps working towards a peace process in Kashmir to avoid civil losses and further human rights abuses. It is important to ensure that Kashmiri voice is not overlooked in this conflict. Kashmiri voice has to be at the center of any resolution, any discussion or dialogue. My thoughts and prayers are with the families and friends of Syed Ali Shah Geelani Saab, and I wish to express my solidarity with Kashmiris. May we realize the dream of Azadi, for which Geelani Saab dedicated all his life for. Thank you very much.
Thank you ever so much, Mr. Abzal Khan. Will you take any questions, or would you
More
like
than
to
happy to. I'm happy to take question if.
Well, I'm saying this because our next speaker, Nassema Vani Sahiba, hasn't yet joined. She will be joining in a few minutes.
Well, while she joins, let's have some questions.
Yes, I wanted to ask a question myself, and that is what is the stand of the European Union, of which you were a member, or you were a member of the group? What is their stand on Kashmir?
I think I would say that yeah, well, I was going to give you my response to the question. I would say that it is very important for us to keep engaging the European Union. When I was a member of European Parliament, this issue was regularly brought before the European Parliament, and discussions also highlighted the abuses that are taking place. What is important for me, for the European Parliament's perspective, is that it is a very powerful body, and they certainly value human rights. And not only they value the human rights, but they also link the human rights with any trade agreement. One of the key issues around globally is the sheer size of Indian market, and therefore people's sometimes desire to ignore the human rights and focus on the economic benefit. I think the fact that this is linked in the European Parliament puts us in a good place. And that should be our attempt also, that even places like Britain in Parliament, that we should push, that they should not put economic interest above the human rights. And the human rights should also be taken into account.
And in the British Parliament, in the House of Commons, what is the stand of the Conservative Party?
I think on the government perspective, whether it had been a Labour government or a Conservative government, their position had been fundamentally to sit on the wall and to say that it's a matter between India and Pakistan. And the good officers of the British government are always available to help with that. And they would sort of stop at that. And I think the problem with that stand is that this ignores the wishes of the Kashmiri people, who are the central in this whole dispute. And I think what we need to do, and this is the task which we have ahead of us, that we need to push both major parties, particularly the Labour Party, where we have a lot of strength and support, that they need to be very clear on this, that the Kashmiri people have to be at the center of any dialogue that takes place. And secondly, because we are a permanent member of the UN, we should initiate more activities on this basis to get this issue resolved. Because ultimately, the dispute is unique in this sense, that the resolution has been already agreed. It's only the implementation which is standing by now. And we need to push for implementation of that, of the UN resolutions.
Well, we have Naseema Khatun Sahiba with us now.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. So I will thank you very much, Mr. Afzal Khan. If you have to go to the House of Commons or to see Prime Minister Boris Johnson, we won't stop you. But
thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. And if you ever come, when you come to Pakistan, come to Karachi and please speak at our institute. It would be a great honor.
Inshallah, we will stay in touch. Thank you very much for having me, and wish you all the best for the rest of the program.
Thank you. I would like to welcome Nassema Vani Sahiba and also to introduce her. She was a member of the Legislative Assembly of Azad, Jammu and Kashmir, where she distinguished herself not only in her concern about national issues, but also the problems faced by women. And as those of us who have worked on armed struggles know, the worst sufferers in zones of conflict are women and children. Indian occupied Kashmir is full of widows and half-widows whose husbands have simply disappeared. And because of the nature of these conflicts, the landmark resolution on women, peace and security of 31 October 2000, which was adopted in the Security Council, is so significant because it reaffirms the important role of women in the prevention and resolution of conflicts, peace negotiations, peace building, humanitarian response to post-conflict reconstruction, and the equal participation of women in all these issues. I would like to give the floor to Naseema Vani Sahiba. She is going to speak on the suffering of the women of Kashmir.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आप लोगों ने मुझे इनवाइट करने का। मैं माजरत करती हूँ, मैं थोड़ा सा लेट आप लोगों को ज्वाइन किया। एनीहाउ अगेन थैंक यू सो मच। जहाँ तक बात है कश्मीरी वुमेन्स सफरिंग की, डेफिनेटली थोड़ा सा मैं आपको एक डिफरेंट एंगल से बात करना चाहूँगी। मैं खुद बिलोंग करती हूँ ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर से। आई माइग्रेटेड एज अ चाइल्ड with my parents from occupied Kashmir to Pakistan. I was just 15 years old at time. तो कहने का मेरा मकसद है कि ये जो है, ये जो सफरिंग है, ये किसी एक जगह स्टॉप नहीं हुआ है, ये कॉन्टिन्यूस है। और ये 5th जनरेशन है, 5वीं जनरेशन है जो हम सफ़र कर रहे हैं। स्टिल आज भी हम सफ़र कर रहे हैं। जहाँ तक कश्मीरी ख़वातीन की बात है, ये ऑब्वियस है कि कश्मीरी ख़वातीन जो है थ्रू आउट जो कश्मीर का जो स्ट्रगल है उसमें सफ़र करती रही हैं। क्योंकि बीइंग अ वुमेन, आपको पता है, वेरी इजी टारगेट, फर्स्ट फ्रंट टारगेट होती हैं ख़वातीन किसी भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के जोन में। और जहाँ तक कश्मीरी ख़वातीन की जो बात थी, तो वो जो हमारे जो दुश्मन थे इंडियन ऑक्युपाइड फोर्सेस के थे, तो वो फर्स्ट टारगेट वो बने हैं। मकसद उनको टारगेट करने का एक तो ये था कि कश्मीरी जो मुजाहिदीन हैं, जो फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल्स है, जो फाइट करने वाले हैं, उनका हौसला जो तोड़ा जाए। जब आप किसी के घर को टारगेट करते हैं तो डेफिनेटली वो खासतौर पे जब आप किसी खातून को टारगेट करते हैं तो पूरी फैमिली सफ़र करती है। तो मकसद भी यही था जो कश्मीरी ख़वातीन को टारगेट करने का। ना सिर्फ उनको देखिए इमोशनल तो अदर थिंग्स है, फिजिकल टारगेट, उनको फिजिकली अब्यूज किया गया, इंसल्ट किया गया है, और जो वर्ड में यूज नहीं करना चाहता है वो है रेप किए गए हैं। पूरे पूरे गांव को जो है वो लॉकडाउन करके वहां पे खवातीन के साथ ज्यादती की गई है, जो कि दुनिया में शायद आपको किसी और जगह इस तरह की बर्बरियत नजर ना आए। साथ साथ ही खवातीन जो कश्मीर की है उन्होंने बेतहाशा जो है ना वो कुर्बानियां दी हैं। बीइंग अ मदर, उन्होंने अपने बेटों की कुर्बानियां दी, अपने भाइयों की कुर्बानियां दी, और अपनी शरीक हयात की कुर्बानियां दी। जो अभी मेरे से पहले जो अफजल खान साहब बात कर रहे थे हाफ विडोज की, वो इसलिए है कि बहुत सारी खवातीन हमारी आज भी ऐसी हैं जिनको ये पता ही नहीं कि उनके शौहर वदर वो जिंदा है या उनकी डेथ हो गई है। तो लिहाजा ऐसी खवातीन जिनको पता ही नहीं है उनके शौहर कहाँ है, उनको उठा के जब हिंदुस्तान में लेके जाते हैं तो उनके पीछे बताया नहीं जाता उनके साथ क्या हुआ। और ये 1-2 महीनों की या सालों की बातें अब तो बरसों हो गए हैं। तो लिहाजा ये जो हाफ विडोज का जिक्र वहां से चला है। इसके बावजूद अगर आप देखें कि हमारी जो कश्मीर की खवातीन है उन्होंने अपनी जो स्ट्रगल है आज़ादी की जद्दोजहद की, अपने कश्मीर कॉज के हवाले से जो फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल है, राइट ऑफ सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन है, वो कहीं पे आपने देखा स्टॉप नहीं हुआ। अगर आप देखते हैं कि कश्मीरी जो खवातीन है वो ना सिर्फ डायरेक्ट इस जो है फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल में शामिल रही, वो एज अ मुजाहिदा उन्होंने अपना रोल प्ले किया है। अगर आप पॉलिटिकल फिगर्स को देखें, पॉलिटिकली भी उन्होंने स्ट्रगल किया। उसमें आप अगर मैं नाम लूँ तो बेताज, लेकिन सबसे बड़ा इस वक्त जो हमारा नाम है वो आसिया इंद्राबी साहिबा के, जमरुद साहिबा का है। ये वो खवातीन है जिन्होंने ना सिर्फ खुद पॉलिटिकल स्ट्रगल की है बल्कि अपना उस पॉलिटिकल स्ट्रगल में बेतहाशा खवातीन को शामिल किया है। वो उन्होंने सफर किया है। आसिया इंद्राबी साहिबा, अगर आप देखें उनके जो हस्बैंड है पिछले 28 साल से पख्तू साहब जो है वो जेल में है। तो आप ये जो पॉलिटिकल जो हमारे जो लोग हैं, जो पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स हैं, उनकी जो फैमिलीज है, खास तौर पे जो उनकी खवातीन है, उन्होंने किस तरीके से सफर किया वो नाकाबिले बयान है। आपकी मैं एक जिंदा मिसाल आपको दूंगी, वो मिसाल मलिक साहिबा की है। सिर्फ इसलिए कि वो एक पॉलिटिकल लीडर की बेगम है, मिसेज है, आप देखें उनके साथ कितनी जाते आज के दौर में। अभी जब मीडिया इतना आजाद है, पूरी दुनिया उस चीज को देख रहे, स्टिल आप मिसाल मलिक साहिबा को देखें, यासीन मलिक साहब की बीवी होने के नाते उनको अपने शौहर से मिलने नहीं दिया। वो जो मासूम बच्ची उनके साथ है अपने फादर से मिल नहीं सकती। तो ये अगर हम क्या क्या आपको गिनवाएं किस तरीके से कश्मीर की खवातीन जो है इस स्ट्रगल में शाना बशाना खड़ी हैं अपने मर्दों के साथ। आप कोई भी आप जो डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन देखें, मास मूवमेंट देखें, वहां पे आप देखें हमारी खवातीन जो है सफ़े अव्वल में है। वो किसी तौर पे किसी जगह आपको पीछे नजर नहीं आती। यहाँ तक आप जो नया ट्रेंड है वो हमारी बच्चियां, स्कूल की बच्चियां, जब उन्होंने देखा कि उनके भाइयों के साथ, उनके बुजुर्गों के साथ किस तरीके से बर्बरियत हो रही है जो स्टॉप होने का कहीं नाम ही नहीं ले रहा है, तो हमने देखा हमारी स्कूल की बच्चियां वो बैग के साथ साथ वो हाथों में पत्थर उठाए, उनकी बेबसी का आलम देखें कि वो अपनी एजुकेशन हासिल करना चाहते, वो पढ़ना चाहते, लेकिन इस ह्यूमिलेशन जो है कॉन्टिन्यूस जो जो है उनके ऊपर जो जबर है, उन्होंने उनको मजबूर किया कि वो अपने बैग के साथ साथ अपने हाथों में पत्थर उठाए। तो ये एक लंबी दास्तान है, लंबी कहानी है, हर घर की कहानी है, हर घर की। जैसे आपको मैंने अपनी बात बताया कि मैं भी वहां से माइग्रेटेड हूँ, और यकीन कर हमारी रेस्ट ऑफ द फैमिली जो है वो अभी भी वादी के अंदर है। मेरे इन लॉज जो है वो वादी के अंदर है, और आप यकीन करें मैं अपनी मदर इन लॉ से हम बात करते हैं तो वो ये कहती है कि बेटा हम एक अजाब में हैं, हम आपसे खुल के बात नहीं कर सकते, हमको बता नहीं सकते कि हमारे ऊपर क्या बीती। तो लिहाजा ये मेरी जो मदर इन लॉ बीइंग वो जो मेरी सास है, अपने बेटे को जो उनके पाकिस्तान के अंदर है वो उनको मिल नहीं सकती, उनको पासपोर्ट नहीं दिया जा रहा है। तो ये जो खवातीन का जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है आप देखिए हर स्टेज पे है। अगर वो एज अ फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल वो जो है मैदान में है, एज अ पॉलिटिकल लीडर वो लीड कर रही हैं, और एज अ इंडिविजुअल भी वो सफर कर रही हैं। तो इसके बावजूद मैं आप लोगों को एक बात बोलूं कि कश्मीरी खवातीन बेचारियां नहीं, कभी उन्होंने सिंपैथी के लिए जो है गेन करने की कोशिश नहीं की। वो फाइट कर रही है, दे आर फाइटर्स, वी आर ऑल फाइटर्स, और हम फाइट करेंगे। और ये मेरा ईमान है अल्लाह ताला की ज़ात के ऊपर कि हमारी ये जो कुर्बानियां हैं, हमारी जो स्ट्रगल है, कभी रायगा नहीं जाएगी। और डेफिनेटली वक्त आएगा जब दुनिया इस आवाज़ को सुनेगी, इस दर्द को महसूस करेगी और हमारे साथ खड़ी होगी। और मैं तो एक मैसेज जो अपने जो कश्मीरी हैं या ख़वातीन हैं या जो सिंपैथी रखते हैं कश्मीरियों के, उनको ये देना चाहूँगी कि अब हमें अपनी स्ट्रेटजी चेंज करने की ज़रूरत है, तो ऐसा डायमेंशन को चेंज करने की ज़रूरत है। अदरवाइज हमें जाने की ज़रूरत है, आउट ऑफ द वे जाके हमने सोल्यूशन निकालने की हमें इसकी ज़रूरत है। अगर हम चाहते हैं कि कश्मीरियों को उनका राइट ऑफ सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन मिले, उनको अपने आज़ादी के जो है आज़ादी राय का हक मिले, तो हमें थोड़ा सा आगे आना पड़ेगा, थोड़ा सा इसको रिवायत की बातों से हट के सोचना पड़ेगा, कोई हल निकालना पड़ेगा, तब जाके ये मसला हल होगा। इसलिए मैं इसके साथ आप लोगों से इजाज़त।
बहुत शुक्रिया आपका नसीमा वनी साहिबा, बहुत शुक्रिया आपका। I will now open the floor to questions to the distinguished speakers. There is a question for Sardar Masood Khan from Hamna Kamal. Hamna is a researcher at this institute. And she asks, what do you think the future of Kashmir's population looks like, with non-resident Kashmiris now being allowed to buy land in the region? I think she means that there is no check on that. And what will be the result if this process is not checked? Sardar sir. Sardar sir, please unmute yourself. Please unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? All right. I'll respond to that question, but before that, I want to touch on two questions that you had already raised with Mr. Abzal Khan. One is the European Union, and I want to pay tribute to Mr. Abzal Khan for playing a very dynamic role in the European Parliament. I'm a direct witness of what he has done there to pave the way for Kashmir movement and to create space there for Kashmir, as a matter of fact, when he was MEP, a member of European Parliament. But there's something else that I want to highlight here. European Union last year, in 2020, January 2020, it has about 750 members. Out of them, 626 members tabled half a dozen resolutions on the Indian Citizenship Amendment Act and the crisis in Kashmir. When it came to the crisis of Kashmir, of course, they condemned the Citizenship Act and they called out India on that and said that this was discriminatory and against the international law and any norm, as a matter of fact, any domestic or international norm. But more importantly, it gave a strong call for a plebiscite or a solution of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute in accordance with the Security Council resolutions. At the same time, it also called for an end to the barbarity in Kashmir, that communication blockade, that siege that had made a life miserable for Kashmiris. Now, these all cross-group, I mean, these political coalitions are called groups in the European Union. They table these resolutions. Indians somehow talk them into not pressing them in the European Parliament. And they besieged the European parliaments that you postpone it and said that Mr. Narendra Modi was to come in March and that would disrupt his visit. And therefore, these resolutions could not be pressed to a vote. Now, the reason I highlight is that there is so much, a groundswell of support in the European Union, and somehow we cannot really capitalize on it. And this is because our political class, our political leaders would not go out and reach out to them, or I think there's one exception, Syed was there in 2019 when there was this debate, a plenary debate in the European Parliament on Kashmir. He was there, but most of the politicians here, government and opposition, are shy to show up at the European Parliament, where in fact there is support, even after the departure of the United Kingdom, after Brexit. The second thing, this year also, there was a cross-section of European parliamentarians who wrote to the President of the European Commission, European Council, and the European Union leadership, urging to speak up on the situation in Kashmir. The second thing was, you had asked about the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom, and Mr. Afzal Khan answered it. I just want to add that last year, early last year, I was in the United Kingdom, and there was a big gathering of parliamentarians organized by Tehreek-e-Kashmir and at the House of Commons, and 50 MPs, members of parliament, were there. Majority of them were from the Conservative Party. And the Labour Party has a Labour Friends of Kashmir group, and so has the Conservative Party. They have Conservative Friends of Kashmir group. In addition to that, there is this all-party parliamentary Kashmir group, which has some 80 members, and they are from the Labour Party, the Conservative Party, also SNP, and Liberal Democrats. So the situation is not bad. As a matter of fact, we have to reach out to these people and expand the space that they have made available to us. Now, responding to the question which was asked by Ms. Amina Kamal, am I? Yes. Amina Kamal, am I taking the name right?
Hamna.
You know, all these modernized, not familiar with these modernized names. So Hamna Kamal. So I would say that she's posed a very, very important question, because right now, the most serious, the gravest crisis the people of Jammu and Kashmir are facing is this radical change in the demographic composition. Now, the total population of Kashmir, Jammu and Ladakh and Kashmir combined is about 14 million. And India, the Bharatiya Janata Party and Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, they have already transported or given domicile to 4 million people. Now, 4 million, addition of 4.2 million. As a matter of fact, the recently Foreign Minister of Pakistan has given the figure of 4.2 million, and this comes from the official and authentic sources of India. Now, this kind of influx in a year's time, this is an existential threat. If you ever use the word existential threat, it fits the situation in Jammu and Kashmir, because in your own homeland, you're being made homeless. And in Jammu and Kashmir, Kashmiris are being made aliens. These people who are coming, they would have their own special habitations, their legal settlements, and they'll do their businesses. The land, 80% of the land has been commandeered and confiscated for these purposes. It is something happening along the lines of the occupied Palestinian territory, but at a much larger scale and with a tremendous speed, because let's recall that this practice of illegal settlements in the Palestinian territory started in 1918 after the Balfour Declaration, and it has taken a century for Israelis to claim that territory to be their own. India has completed this process, or is completing this process in a year's time. They came up with these amended domicile laws last year, and they also amended land laws like the apartheid regime had done in South Africa. These domicile laws are like Nuremberg laws. They have taken a leaf out of the Nazis' playbook. And so what I'm saying is that Hamna Kamal, I'm as worried as you are, and the Foreign Ministry has been writing to the President of the Security Council and to the United Nations Secretary General and Human Rights Council, High Commissioner for Human Rights, keeping them posted. But time is of the essence. If we do not act, I'm afraid Kashmiris would lose Kashmir. The only thing I could say is that, I mean, just to reassure you, that this land belongs to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. They are sovereign. India is not. If they are making this mistake of forcibly occupying their territory and brutalizing it, but this is an artificial solution, doesn't survive. I mean, people cite the example of Afghanistan. You had the mightiest power on earth, aided and supported by its very powerful allies, the strongest alliance in the history of the world. They descended on Afghanistan and they had to vacate Afghanistan after 20 years. Now, Indians are aliens in Jammu and Kashmir, and they'll have to vacate their territory. Kashmiris have some 500,000 Kashmiris have given their lives since 1947. And more than 1 million have been displaced all over the world, in Pakistan, in Azad Kashmir. You will find them everywhere. Now, India would like to sweep this under the carpet. It would not be swept under the carpet. And I can tell you, speaking on behalf of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, that they have vowed that they would win their freedom, no matter what. So this is a big barrier that India has to cross, despite all the advantages it has right now as a close ally of the United States, and which gives them this license to kill with impunity and not be accountable at all. I stop here.
Sardar Sahab, from what you have said, it is obvious that the Kashmiris are increasingly being marginalized in Kashmir. Marginalized. Because their land is being wrested away like this, and you say that it won't be, all this won't be swept under the carpet, but how will they manage? I mean, more and more their ability to take a stand against these developments is lessening. How do you see the Kashmir struggle in the future? How will they keep fighting? How will they? What new strategy, as Naseema Sahiba said, has to be adopted so that the tide can turn in their favor?
Well, this is $1 million question, but there's an answer also. I've been trying to convince all stakeholders and decision makers in Pakistan. We know that the population of Jammu and Kashmir is besieged. There are 900,000 troops there. There's this violent extremist regime in Delhi, and they think that they are in charge of history now, and they can do whatever they want to trapped, imprisoned population. So there's very, very little room for maneuver for the people of Jammu and Kashmir, because India has also succeeded in delegitimizing their armed struggle. They say that if any young boy picks up arms in Kashmir, that is terrorism. And because this war on terror dominated the world lexicon and operational strategies in the past 2 decades, India got away with murder. So there's very little the Kashmiris can do. But the people of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, the people of Pakistan, are free. The diaspora community is free. And there was a time, you go back to history, and there was a time when people thought that the Vietnamese would never win, or North Vietnam would never win, or that apartheid regime would never surrender. Or there was a time when African Americans in the United States thought that they would never get their equal civil rights. But the tide changed. So what I want to say here is that Pakistan and Azad Kashmir and our diaspora community and freedom-loving people all over the world, we have to make a strong coalition to create this civil rights movement for the Kashmiris, because primarily their civil rights are being trampled. People are being killed and maimed and tortured. And Nassema Vani has talked about half widows, about rape being weaponized against the entire population. So what I want to say is that one thing that we should do is that we should not become despondent, and we should not think that India is omnipotent. And we have a just cause, and we should persevere in promoting and protecting the rights of the Kashmiris with the help of the international community. There are spaces, there are niches. And in fact, in the past, starting from August 2019, India has been called out. India has been recognized as a pariah state, as a rogue state, as a matter of fact, when it comes to Kashmir. As Mr. Abzal Khan mentioned, because of realpolitik, because of these economic partnerships between India and the European Union or the United States or Canada or Australia, this Western Alliance, you do not get your message through. You get it through to the parliaments, to the parliamentarians. I can give you this first-hand testimony that the European Parliament, the UK Parliament, even French Parliament, parliamentarians in Spain, for instance, United States, across the aisle, or Canada, they were responsive. But India is a blackmailer. It has imposed this gag order on the international community. They say that if you do this, we're going to adopt some punitive measures against you. Given these objective circumstances and given our quest for economic development and security for the state of Pakistan, we still have some room for maneuver. I mean, the word I would like to use, that we have the room for maneuver. The people of Pakistan are a great nation. They won their freedom, and I think that they can win the freedom of Kashmir as well. And we should not get immobilized by self-pity or any kind of despondence. I stop here.
Thank you, Masood Saab, for your response. नसीमा साहिबा, आपसे सवाल कर सकते हैं?
जी प्लीज।
जी, आपने फरमाया था अपनी तकरीर में कि हमें स्ट्रैटेजी बदलनी चाहिए, तो आपके ख्याल में स्ट्रैटेजी किस तरह बदलनी चाहिए, कौन सी स्ट्रैटेजी इख्तियार करनी चाहिए?
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। अगर आप इजाज़त दें, अगर बहुत सारों को बुरा ना लगे, तो स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड बातें अगर करूं, इसमें पीपल लाइक यू, थिंक टैंक, मसूद खान साहब, अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर, आप कैसे हैं?
मैं ठीक हूं, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। प्लेजर टू सी यू।
सेम सर। तो आप जैसे जो लोग हैं जो मतलब वर्थ रखते हैं, मैं एक रिक्वेस्ट है, मैं ये बहुत जगह ये बात कर चुकी हूँ, मुझे लगता है अगर एक कश्मीरियों के लिए एक अबूरी हुकूमत कायम की जाए जो कि एक थर्ड कंट्री में हो, जिसमें एक ऐसा स्ट्रॉन्ग कश्मीरी लीडर जो बाहर बैठ के कश्मीरियों को लीड कर सके, क्योंकि जब हम मकबूजा कश्मीर की बात करते हैं तो मकबूजा कश्मीर में अब जो जिस पॉइंट पे आ चुकी है बात, वो हिंदुस्तान का जो पूरा जो एक बयानिया है कि अब कश्मीर जो है हमारा अटूट अंग है, वो इससे एक इंच भी पीछे नहीं हट रहे हैं, वो किसी तौर पे भी टेबल पे नहीं आ रहे, ना वो किसी की बात सुन रहे हैं। खास तौर पे 5 अगस्त के बाद जो सिचुएशन है, तो हम उसके बाद हिंदुस्तान से क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं, कौन सी सिंपैथी या ह्यूमैनिटेरियन वैल्यूज पे हम उनसे बात कर सकते हैं? दे आर नॉट रेडी टू लिसन एनीथिंग। अब ऐसे में एक ही बांसुरी बजाने से मुझे लगता है कुछ हासिल नहीं होगा अनटिल कि हम एक स्टैंड लें, एक स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टैंड ले। तो मुझे लगता है कि ऐसा कश्मीरी लीडर जिसको कश्मीरी एक्सेप्ट करते हो, एक थर्ड कंट्री में, न्यूट्रल कंट्री में बैठ के कश्मीरियों को रन करे और जिसकी बात सारे कश्मीरी सुने। अब अगर आप कह सकते हैं कि पाकिस्तान में हमारे आज़ाद कश्मीर की गवर्नमेंट है, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हमें उससे कोई वो नहीं है, हम उसको बिलीव करते हैं, उसको रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं और हमें वहाँ पे कोई इशू नहीं। बट प्रॉब्लम ये है कि हमारी आज़ाद कश्मीर की जो गवर्नमेंट है या आज़ाद कश्मीर की जो लोगों की बात जो है वो लोग नहीं सुन रहे हैं जिनको सुनना चाहिए। मेरा कहने का मकसद है यूनाइटेड नेशन, OIC, तमाम मुस्लिम कंट्रीज या ऐसे कंट्रीज सर जिसका आपने नाम लिया है, दे आर नॉट रेडी टू लिसन अस। तो ऐसी सूरत में मेरी मतलब मैं समझती हूँ कि मेरा फर्ज बनता है मैं ओपनली बात करूँ बीइंग अ कश्मीरी। अगर हम वो बुरी गवर्नमेंट कायम करे जैसे अफगानियों ने की थी दुबई में बैठ के और दुनिया ने उसको फिर माना था, तो मैं समझती हूँ कि अगर ऐसी चीज कायम हो जाए, कुछ ऐसे लोग बाहर बैठ के कश्मीरियों को आवाज को बुलंद करे जिसको सारे कश्मीरी माने और पूरी दुनिया माने, मैं समझती हूँ कि एक जब हम पाकिस्तान से बैठ के बात करते हैं तो वो हम पे जो है ना एक कहते हैं कि ये जो है टू कंट्रीज के दरमियान इशू है, हम शायद उस सूरत में इससे बाहर निकल आ सकते हैं। तो और मैं समझती हूँ कि उस सूरत में ऐसी जो हमारी सिस्टम होगा उस सिस्टम को सपोर्ट करने के लिए पूरी दुनिया से जो कश्मीरी है, मुझे पता है, आपको भी सर पता है कि बहुत ही जो कश्मीरी है ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड दे आर वेरी स्ट्रांग पीपल, वेरी रिसोर्सफुल पीपल, दे कैन प्रोवाइड रिसोर्सेज। और मुझे नहीं लगता कि हमें इसमें कोई शर्म या कोई शाइनेस होनी चाहिए कि जब दुश्मन इतना मकार है, इतना अयार है और वो किसी तौर पे हमारी बात मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं है और वो कोई भी हरबा इस्तेमाल करने से बाज नहीं आ रहा। उन्होंने हमारा गला घोंट दिया, हमारी आज़ादी छीन ली, हमें पैलेट गन से मारा, हमारी मतलब हम अपनी वॉइस तक, जैसे अभी मैंने बात की कि मेरी मदर इन लॉ कहती बेटा हम बात नहीं कर सकते, आपको बता नहीं सकते हम पे क्या गुजरी थी। जब ऐसी सिचुएशन हो, जब दुश्मन एक तरफा सारे फैसले रहे और दुनिया उसको रोकने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, तो हमें किस चीज की शर्म और झिझक होनी चाहिए कि हम अपनी आजादी को लेने के लिए एक कदम फॉरवर्ड आके ऐसी बात करें जिससे हमारा मसला हल हो सकता है, इसको एड्रेस किया जा सकता है और इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी फिर इस तरफ तवज्जो दे। ये मेरी अपनी पर्सनल राय है और मैं बिलीव करती हूँ कि अगर इसको सारे लोग सपोर्ट करें तो दैट इज नॉट इम्पॉसिबल।
Sardar Saab, would you like to respond to that suggestion?
इसके सिलसिले में मेरा ख्याल है कि फ़िलहाल जो इन्होंने तजवीज़ दिया बस हमने सुन ली है, तो मैं इसके ऊपर तबसरा नहीं करता हूँ क्योंकि उससे गलतफहमी पैदा हो सकती है। लेकिन एक उनका बुनियादी नुक्ता ये है कि कश्मीरियों की आवाज़ सुनी जानी चाहिए और मैं उसकी पूरी तायीद करता हूँ। और मैंने कम अज़ कम जो आज़ाद कश्मीर की हुकूमत में सदर के तौर पर ये कोशिश की थी कि हमारी आवाज़ पहुँचे और हमारा कश्मीरी क़यादत जो बाहर मौजूद है उससे भी बड़ा मजबूत राब्ता और रिश्ता रहा है, अभी भी है। और ये इस किस्म की तजवीज़ है जिसके ऊपर बहुत गौर व खौस की ज़रूरत है और उसके बाद जो है किसी नतीजे पर पहुँचा जा सकता है। लेकिन ये है कि अभी फ़िलहाल मैं ये कहता हूँ कि आमतौर पर एतराज़ ये किया जाता है कि जनाब आज़ाद कश्मीर के ऊपर कोई आज़ाद कश्मीर के ऐसे इख्तियारात नहीं हैं कि वो अपनी आवाज़ बाहर पहुंचा सके या उसकी बातें सुने। तो मैं आपको एक शहादत देता हूं कि आज़ाद कश्मीर के लोग बाहर जाएं या पाकिस्तान के लोग जाएं या जो कश्मीरी हैं जो मखूज़ा जम्मू कश्मीर से ही बाहर जाएं तो लोग इनकी आवाज़ सुनते हैं। मेरा शिकवा ये है कि हम इतनी ज़्यादा तादाद में और उस फ्रीक्वेंसी से नहीं जाते हैं वहाँ जिसमें हमें जाना चाहिए। तो आवाज़ सुनते हैं और मेरा ख्याल है कि आप जाएं वहाँ दरवाजे खुलते हैं। यहाँ ये है कि मैं आमतौर पे इसके बारे में कहता रहता हूँ कि आमतौर पे जो मकबूजा कश्मीर के लोग और जायज़ तौर पर कहते हैं कि जो आज़ाद कश्मीर की और पाकिस्तान की ज़िम्मेदारी है, आज़ाद कश्मीर के लोग जो है आमतौर पे पाकिस्तान से शिकवा करते हैं, पाकिस्तान बैनुल-अक़वामी बिरादरी से शिकवा करता है। तो मैं ये कहता हूँ कि शिकवे शिकायत की सियासत छोड़ के अगर हमारे पास जो वसाइल हैं उनको मुजतमे करें, अपनी सफ़ों में इत्तेहाद पैदा करें और अगर जो है इन ममालिक में पहुँचें, उसमें इस्लामी दुनिया भी है, मगरबी दुनिया भी है, तो हमें यकीनन कामयाबी होगी।
Sardar Saab, there are many questions for you. One is from Wajiha Najam, who is a researcher here. She is a senior researcher. And she wants to know what you think about the Gupkar Alliance for restoring the 5 August status?
یہ جو میں جواب دوں؟
جی فرمائیے.
ہاں جی، تو میں اسے اردو میں جواب دیتا ہوں کیونکہ تاکہ میں دل کی بڑھاس نکال سکوں اور کسی قسم کے سفارتی آداب کا خیال نہ رکھوں. تو وہ میں یہ کہنا چاہتا ہوں کہ یہ غداروں کا ایک ٹولہ ہے اور جو بالاقساط کشمیر کو بیچتے رہے. یعنی انہوں نے کشمیر کی فروخت 1947 میں شروع کی تھی اور اس کے بعد ان کا دل نہیں بھرا ہے، آج تک نہیں دل بھرا ہے. یہ نیا بھیس بدل کے دوبارہ کشمیر کو بیچنے چلے تھے، لیکن ان کو مودی حکومت نے دھتکار دیا ہے، ان کو بے معنی قرار دے دیا، ان کو کوئی بڑی سیاسی قوت کے طور پر وہ تسلیم نہیں کرتے. اچھا، ان کا ناک نقشہ دیکھ لیجئے، ان کا آگا پیچھا دیکھ لیجئے. یہ کون لوگ ہیں؟ یہ جو عمر عبداللہ ہے، جو فاروق عبداللہ کا بیٹا ہے، اس نے پہلی مرتبہ پیلٹ گن کا استعمال شروع کیا تھا 2010 میں جب اس کی حکومت تھی. اس کے بعد جو محبوبہ مفتی ہے وہ کبھی کبھار جو ہے سبز پاکستان کے پرچم کا لباس پہن کے تو سامنے آتی ہیں تو پاکستانیوں کے دل بھی پگھل جاتے ہیں. لیکن میں آپ کو یہ بتاؤں کہ ان خاتون کی جب یہ چیف منسٹر تھیں تو سب سے زیادہ کشمیریوں نے اپنی بصارت کھوئی ہے. یعنی کوئی 6,000 کے لوگ، 6,000 کے قریب جو کشمیری یا تو ان کی یا وہ آنکھوں سے محروم ہوئے یا ان کے جسم چھلنی ہو گئے. اب آپ مجھے بتائیے، اور فاروق عبداللہ جو ہے وہ یہ جو ابھی خلفشار ہے اور اس کے بعد جو کشمیر میں ابھی کشمکش ہے، جو ظلم و ستم ہے، اس کا بانی ہے. یہ 1989 میں اس نے شروع کروایا تھا، ظلم و ستم کا ایک نیا باب اس نے شروع کیا تھا. کیا یہ لوگ کشمیریوں کی نمائندگی کر سکتے ہیں؟ اس سلسلے میں میں تمام پاکستانیوں کو یہ بھی بتانا چاہتا ہوں کہ جب وہ ان کے ساتھ پینگے بڑھانے کی بات کرتے ہیں رسمی یا غیر رسمی طور پر، تو کشمیریوں کا دل دکھتا ہے. جو قیادت مثلا جو سید علی گیلانی ہے یا جو دوسرے جو ہے، جو جاند ہے، جو آسیہ اندرابی ہے، جو پاکستان کی قسم کھاتی ہے، جو پاکستان کا ترانہ گاتی ہے، جو پاکستان کا جھنڈا لہراتی ہے. تو آپ کو پتہ ہے کہ جب آپ ان کے بارے میں کچھ اس قسم کے کہتے ہیں کہ جناب ہم فاروق عبداللہ کے ساتھ مذاکرات کریں گے، تو آپ یہ کہہ رہے ہیں کہ جو آپ کے وفادار ہیں آپ ان کو جھٹک دیں گے اور جو غدار ہیں ان کے ساتھ جو ہے آپ مراسم بڑھائیں گے. تو اس سلسلے میں پاکستان کو نظریاتی طور پر بہت واضح ہونا چاہیے کہ کون لوگ آپ کے ساتھ ہیں اور ان کا آپ نے ساتھ دینا ہے، اور جن لوگوں نے آپ کی پیٹھ میں اور کشمیریوں کی پیٹھ میں چھرا گھونپا ہے ان کا ساتھ نہیں دینا.
There is a question from Mr. Ali Abbas, who is the director of the National Institute of Maritime Affairs. And he has asked a rather historical question. What is the take of the British government and the British parliamentarians on the Indian claim of accession, the document of accession, allegedly signed by Maharaja Hari Singh? As I said, it's a historical question.
Well, of course, I would respond to that question because we can't lump together the parliament and the government there. I mean, we can't lump together 10 Downing Street and the House of Lords and House of Commons. 10 Downing Street has never pronounced itself on the authenticity or otherwise of the document. And parliamentarians also have been tight-lipped about it. I know a cross-section of parliamentarians who are part of the APPG or All-Party Parliamentary Group on Kashmir. So they haven't spoken up on that issue at all. But everybody and many researchers in Pakistan have read the book of Alastair Lamb, who conclusively says that this is a fake document and that you cannot find its genuine copy, as a matter of fact. And if there was an instrument and it was not signed on the 26th of October, as it is claimed by Indian leaders, it was probably signed. I mean, that fake document under coercion was signed after the invasion of Jammu and Kashmir. So there's no position taken by the parliamentarians or the government, successive governments of the United Kingdom, but there is scholarships, substantial scholarship on the subject, and India has not been able to present the original copy of the instrument of document. I mean, there were rumors that it was lost, and then a facsimile was shown, and today even that facsimile is not there. So, and you know, I can go on and on about this historical fact. My own take on this period is that the troops of Kapurthala and Punjab, they had already penetrated into the Kashmir territory. They'd been deployed there with the connivance of Lord Mountbatten and the Indian government, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and they had taken positions at the airport, on the borders, and I'm talking about the months of June to October, before the aerial invasion of the territory or aerial transport of the invaders on 27th of October. One thing else that I want to point out, as far as the British parliamentarians are concerned, many of them are very outspoken from the Conservative Party and from the Labour Party, and some of them would call Mr. Modi a genocidaire, open. They will call him a genocidaire in Kashmir. And in fact, one of them was saying that he would like to take him to The Hague for a trial. So there's diverse opinions. Some are very careful in their formulations. I mean, I'm talking about pro-Kashmir parliamentarians. Some are very blunt and outspoken.
नसीमा वनी साहिबा, एक सवाल आपसे कर सकते हैं?
जी प्लीज, माय प्लेजर।
जी, ये सवाल ये है कि आप पाकिस्तान की जो एम्बेसीज हैं बैरून मुल्क में, कश्मीर के हवाले से उनकी कारकर्दगी पर खुश हैं या कुछ तरमीम चाहती हैं?
इस सवाल से पहले मैं तो आपसे ये कहना चाहूँगी कि देखिए, वो जो अगर आप ये जो एम्बेसीज हैं इनकी कारकर्दगी के से हम मुतमईन हैं कि नहीं है, तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली मैं ये कहूँगी कि आप देखिए कारकर्दगी कहाँ है, कहाँ हमें एक्चुअल ग्राउंड में कारकर्दगी नज़र आती है। अगर आप कारकर्दगी इसको कहते हैं कि ओकेशनली सम जो ओकेशंस होते हैं उसमें कुछ लोगों को गैदर करना, आपस में बातें करना, डिनर करना, ये कारकर्दगी है तो फिर तो ठीक है। लेकिन जिस तरह अभी सर ने कहा, मसूद साहब ने कहा कि जो हमें जो नीड है वक्त की, जिस तरीके से हमें प्रेजेंट करना चाहिए, जो फ्रीक्वेंसी के साथ फ्रीक्वेंटली हमें जिस चीज़ को हाईलाइट करना चाहिए, तो उसमें तो कभी कोई काम नहीं हुआ। आपने कभी देखा है, आप मुझे बताएं, या मैंने कभी देखा है टीवीज पे, अगर आप देखेंगे कि एक ओकेशन होता है जब 5 फरवरी हो या इस तरह के, अभी जो 5 अगस्त के बाद इस तरह के जो इवेंट्स हुए हैं उनको तो सेलिब्रेट किया जाता है। लेकिन जो प्रॉब्लम है, जो कश्मीरियों की जो तकलीफ है, जो कश्मीरी कॉज है जिसको हाईलाइट करना चाहिए, जो वो लोग हैं जो सर अभी बात करें, जो मैटर करते हैं, जिन तक हमें कन्वे करना चाहिए, जो पॉलिसी मेकर्स है ऑल अराउंड द वर्ल्ड, जो थिंक टैंक्स है, या जो कंट्रीज हैं जिसमें आप ये जो हमारा यूरोप आता है, इंग्लैंड आता है, अमेरिका आता है, रशिया है, चाइना है, इन लोग, ये जो पॉलिसी मेकर्स हैं, जो बड़े बड़े कंट्रीज है, इनके जो लोग असरअंदाज होते हैं, क्या उन तक हम अपनी बात कन्वे करा पाते हैं? क्या वो पहुंचती है सही तरीके से? एक शुगर कोटेड तरीके से पहुंचना वो अलग चीज है। उनकी जो तकलीफ है, वो जो सफर कर रहे हैं, हम लोग जो सफर कर रहे हैं डे टू डे। मैं डिवाइडेड फैमिली से ताल्लुक रखती हूँ, मैं आपको बार बार बात करी, मेरी बच्ची जो है वो 17 साल की है, मेरा बेटा जो है 15 साल का है, छोटी बेटी मेरी जो है 13 साल की है। उन्होंने आज तक अपने दादियाल को नहीं देखा। मैंने अभी आपको मिसाल मलिक साहिबा की बात की, उसकी बच्ची की बात की है। हम जो रोज सफर करते हैं, हमारी प्रॉब्लम्स को, हमारी पेन को कोई भी नहीं समझता। ہم جو بھی اپنی ایمبیسیز کو دیکھتے ہیں تو وہ مجھے بتائیں کہاں کشمیر کاز کو اجاگر کر رہے ہیں, کس جگہ پہ آپ نے دیکھ لیا. تو پھر مطمئن یا غیر مطمئن ہونے کا تو سوال ہی, تو ہمیں یقین کریں کہتے ہوئے اچھا نہیں لگتا. اٹس اے جوک, نتھنگ ایلس.
There is a last question, the last two questions. Sardar Sahab, there is a question for you from Dr. Tanveer Khalid. She wants to know if the peace process starts, presumably between India and Pakistan, how will the Kashmir problem fit into it? What will be the just steps towards it?
All right. Shall I respond to it? What is the second question?
The question is, if the peace process begins between Pakistan...
All right. I've heard it. Now, پہلے جو یہ نسیمہ وانی صاحبہ نے کہا ہے اس کے سلسلے میں کچھ عرض کرنا چاہتا ہوں. نمبر ایک یہ ہے کہ پوری کے پورے تناظر میں دیکھیں جد و جہد آزادی کشمیر, تو آج تک اگر یہ زندہ ہے تو دو وجوہات کی بنا پر زندہ ہے. ایک جو ہے کشمیریوں کی قربانیوں کی وجہ سے, جنہوں نے ہر روز اپنا خون دیتے ہیں اور اپنے خون سے آزادی کی شمع جلائی ہوئی. اور دوسرا جو ہے حکومت پاکستان کا مضبوط یا ریاست پاکستان کا مضبوط موقف, جو 1947 میں بھی کھڑی تھی اور آج 2021 میں بھی اپنے سٹینڈ پہ کھڑی ہے. اور اس میں مشرقی پاکستان گیا, اس کے بعد جو ہندوستان بلوچستان میں دہشت گردی کروا رہا ہے یا مداخلت کر رہا ہے یا سندھ کو غیر مستحکم کرنے کی کوشش کر رہا ہے, خیبر پختونخوا کو کرنے کی کر رہا ہے یا پنجاب کو, تو وہ صرف کشمیر کی سزا ہے. جو مشرقی پاکستان بھی جو ہے وہ آپریشن جبرالٹر جو ہے یعنی 1965 کی جنگ کی سزا تھی, یہ ہندوستانی سیاستدان بھی کہتے ہیں اور اس کے بعد ان کے جو ہے فوجی کمانڈرز بھی کہتے ہیں. تو ایک یہ چیز ذہن میں رکھنی چاہیے کہ پاکستان اور کشمیر الگ نہیں ہیں. دوسرے یہ میں بتاؤں چونکہ سابق سفارتکار رہا ہوں تو میں آپ کو یہ شہادت دے سکتا ہوں کہ سفارتکار جو ہیں اگر کسی چیز کے بارے میں بہت زیادہ متحرک ہوتے ہیں, وہ کسی دور دراز علاقے میں ہوں یا اقوام متحدہ نیو یارک میں ہوں یا جنیوا میں ہوں, تو کشمیر کے سلسلے میں کشمیر ان کی ترجیحات میں ہوں. اچھا, ابھی بھی جو ہے اگر آپ دیکھیں تو شاہ محمود قریشی صاحب جو ہیں یا سہیل محمود جو ہمارے فارن سیکرٹری ہیں یا اس کے علاوہ جو سفراء ہیں, ان کا بیشتر وقت جو ہے کشمیر کی وکالت میں گزرتا ہے. یہ میں نے پورا پس منظر اس لیے دیا کہ آپ کو یہ پتہ ہے کہ ہمارے ہاں یہ بوجھ سارے کا سارا سفارتکاروں کے اوپر ڈالا جا رہا ہے. یہ کام سیاسی ہے, یہ کام عوامی ہے, یعنی ایک دباؤ پیدا کرنے کی ضرورت ہے عالمی سطح پہ, اور وہ دباؤ پیدا نہیں ہو رہا. سفارتکار کیا کرتا ہے کہ اقوام متحدہ میں وہ جا کے تقریر کرتا ہے یا جنرل اسمبلی میں, یا جو سلامتی کونسل کے ممبرز جو ہیں ان کو آگاہ کرتا ہے, یا پھر جنیوا میں ہیومن رائٹس کونسل اس کو متحرک کرتا ہے. اور ہیومن رائٹس کونسل میں ان سفارتکاروں کی کوششوں کی وجہ سے 2018 میں اور 2019 میں بہت اہم رپورٹیں شائع ہوئی ہیں. تو اور اسی طریقے سے اگر ہم کسی بائیلیٹرل مشن کی بات کریں تو وہاں ہم جاتے ہیں. آپ خود سفیر رہ چکی ہیں, سفیرہ کبیر رہ چکی ہیں, تو آپ کو پتہ ہوگا کہ آپ ڈیماش کرتے ہیں, آپ جاتے ہیں وہاں منسٹری میں اور آپ نقطہ نظر پیش کرتے ہیں. اب جو سفارتکار یعنی ایک دم یکلخت وہ سیاستدان نہیں ہو سکتے, ایک سیاسی کاز کو نہیں چیمپئن کر سکتے. یہ میں آپ کو ایک ان بلٹ لمیٹیشن ان کی بتا رہا ہوں. تو اسی لیے میں نے شروع میں بھی کہا تھا, دہرانا چاہتا ہوں کہ ہماری جو سیاسی کلاس ہے اس کو متحرک ہونے کی ضرورت ہے. جب عمران خان صاحب نے 2019 میں تقریر کی تھی اقوام متحدہ میں, تو آپ کو یاد ہوگا کہ بڑا لوگوں کا جو ہے جذبہ جوان ہو گیا تھا اور اس کے بعد وہ حوصلے بڑھ گئے تھے. لیکن اس کے بعد بدقسمتی سے جو ہے وہ فالو اپ اس قسم کا نہیں تھا جس قسم کا ہونا چاہیے تھا. لیکن اس میں کوئی ہمارا اندرونی حالات ہیں یا اس قسم کے. تو کہنے کا مطلب ہے کہ more of what we have been doing at a grassroots level, grassroots communities all around the world and the opinion making communities all around the world. آپ کو میں ایک مثال دیتا ہوں کہ جو امریکہ میں ایک سیاہ فام تھے جن کو قتل کیا گیا وہاں, تو سب سے پہلے امریکہ ان کے لیے کھڑا ہوا تھا. और वो शहरियों की सतह पे खड़ा हुआ था, तो तब सारे के सारे लोग जो है वो खड़े हो गए। बाकी दुनिया बाद में खड़ी हुई, पहले आप खड़े हों, आपके चौकों और चौराहों में नजर आना चाहिए कि जी पाकिस्तान के लोग, अहले पाकिस्तान और अहले आज़ाद कश्मीर गुस्से की हालत में हैं, ताकि सैटेलाइट वो तस्वीरें देख सके और उन्हें नशियाती इदारे जो है दुनिया के दिखा सकें। खैर, मैं इस मौजू के ऊपर यही ख़त्म करता हूँ। और जो तनवीर खालिद साहिबा, ये नाम से मैंने सही लिया है?
जी बिल्कुल
मैंने, हाँ जी। डॉक्टर साहिबा, मैं आपको उर्दू में बता दूं या अंग्रेजी में? सवाल आपका अंग्रेजी में आया था। आपकी चॉइस, आपकी चॉइस। Let me switch to English, and I'd say that it's a big if, as a matter of fact. You know, it takes two to tango, and Pakistan and the people of Jammu and Kashmir have always been ready for a diplomatic process. You can trace this history. India was never keen. It went to the United Nations Security Council to get the Azad Jammu and Kashmir regimental force and Pakistani forces evacuated from Azad territory, which had been liberated by the indigenous Kashmiris at that time. So that was the sole purpose. They didn't go there for a plebiscite. In fact, they were surprised with a plebiscite, a decision of the plebiscite. So they've been avoiding the United Nations Security Council and scuttling its resolutions year after year. So let's come to the bilateral channel. And bilateral channel, Pakistan has been very keen to engage India, to promote talks, and India has been evading. After agreeing to an agenda, it will start blaming and accusing Pakistan of bad faith or acts of terrorism or whatever you call it. And then it scuttles the entire process. Now, this new government in Pakistan and the previous government, I can tell you that they were very keen to sit across the table with India and discuss Kashmir with Narendra Modi and three governments, Mian Nawaz Sharif's government, then Shahid Khaqan Abbasi's government, and now Mr. Imran Khan's government. They all wanted to engage India. India has said no, closed all doors. In fact, there's no negotiating table between India and there's no bilateral table. And if we sit, I mean, we can't have a monologue. We can't sit on this side of the table and the interlocutor is absent. This is the real situation. The other thing is that what India did in August 2019, that has altered the dynamics radically. Now, if you today, I mean, they talk about these back channel contacts and that India then tries to peddle these contacts as Pakistan's endorsement, indirect endorsement of the steps it has taken in the Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, which we can't accept under any circumstances. So even if our foreign ministers meet abroad, or there's a photo op for the two prime minister in an international setting on the sidelines of a conference, that would be seen as endorsement of India's illegal action since August the 5th, 2019. And that should not be acceptable to Pakistan, because that would hurt the vital interests of the people of Jammu and Kashmir and the vital interests of Pakistan. I would say that just after August the 5th, because of the appalling nature of human rights in the occupied territory, and because of the efforts made by the government of Pakistan, new doors opened. And we should continue to build this international pressure. If you enter into a bilateral engagement or if you enter into bilateral talks with India, in fact, you are surrendering that international space that has been created altogether. Because I've been abroad when bilateral talks would start. For instance, New York, the diplomats there of 192 countries, they would congratulate you. They would say, yes, congratulations, you're making progress. Because for them, the process is the end result. They think that the process has started. There's photo op, prime ministers are shaking hands, and this means that there would be some process. There will be some result. Let me tell you that we work at cross purposes during these bilateral talks. India's sole aim is to make Pakistan accept Kashmir's integration with India. And our sole objective is to get a just dispensation for the people of Jammu and Kashmir and let the people of Jammu and Kashmir decide their destiny. So we should have no illusions about bilateral engagement. We are all for diplomacy. And I think that Nassema Vani had earlier alluded to the talks in Doha. I would say that yes, if there are talks ever in the future, they should be trilateralized. I would say that, for instance, I mean, if the Taliban can sit with the Americans, why can't the Kashmiris sit with the representatives of India and Pakistan around the table? Why should they be absent? Why should their presence be eliminated? Because, I mean, altogether there are 20 million people. And this landmass, which is called Kashmir, is not small. It is about, I think, 85,000 square miles, which is bigger than many of the nations represented in the United Nations today, territory-wise and also population-wise. So I would sound a note of caution, because you're dealing with a very manipulative, very clever adversary.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sardar Masood Khan Sahab. I will now wrap up this session. It has been a very enlightening session, and I have learned a lot from it. And I take a few things, a few thoughts with me. I think the message is one of both caution as well as optimism. Sardar Sahab has said that one should not give up hope. After all, we saw what happened in Vietnam, we saw what happened in South Africa, and we should always keep those doors of hope open. But we should also keep striving and not give up striving. And yes, there is no doubt that, and I personally agree with that in any negotiations for the future of Kashmir, the Kashmiris should form part of those negotiations. Whether they can be representatives of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, or whether we can bring people from Indian occupied Kashmir, that is a matter to be worked out. But the Kashmiris have the right to speak about their own future, even in negotiations. We are going to transcribe the proceedings of this webinar, and we will publish it in our journal, Pakistan Horizon, which is sent out all over the world. So we will be able to take the message from all our panelists to all our subscribers and to all the libraries in which Pakistan Horizon is placed. I want to thank you, Sardar Masood Sahab, for the time you have given and also for the versatility of your presentation, and to thank Naseema Vani Sahiba, for she spoke from the heart. She spoke from the heart, and even if one of her recommendations was unconventional, I think that unconventional, out-of-the-box solutions can sometimes win the day. I thank all those who have joined the webinar, and I hope that we can meet again. So far as Syed Shah Geelani is concerned, it needs to be said that he was not only a great leader, not a great freedom fighter, not a great leader of the Kashmiri people, but he was also a very great writer. He has left many published works, which I hope that we will be able to get for our library. So goodbye to everybody, and
Thank
have
you.
a very safe day today, and keep away from COVID, and look after your health, and get vaccinated. Thank you, Sardar Sahab. Thank you very much. Nassema Vani, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz. Khuda Hafiz. Khuda Hafiz.